So, this is how it finished. Liverpool 234 days in a row, top of the table, champions by 10 points. Arsenal, for the third year in a row, runners-up, 3 ahead of Manchester City. Just the second time in Pep Guardiola's managerial career that he hasn't finished in the top 2 of a domestic league. Top 4 for Chelsea on 69 points with their 20th win of the season. Defeat for Newcastle, but they get into the Champions League in 5th on goal difference, plus 21, more than Aston Villa. Villa miss out on goal difference, and it was fine margins, which we will show you at Old Trafford. And Forest, remember, were 3rd for 3 months. They end up 7th. They are back in Europe, and they will play in the Conference League next season. Brighton finished 8th, but in the end, that was not enough for European football next season. And Chelsea, of course, have the Conference League final to come against Real Betis on Wednesday. But they did the job today. 1-0. They won at Nottingham Forest. Yeah, we said they'd have 2 cup finals, 1 to come, but they've won today's. And just in terms of progression in the immediate future, the money they've spent, the recruitment they might be looking to do, how huge is that for Chelsea today?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice lifting trophies, but I think for Chelsea Football Club, qualifying for the Champions League was probably even more important than winning the Conference League. However, they've done the first part of the job. Now they can put the icing on the cake, and it'll be a brilliant season from them if they went on to win the Conference League as well. So it was all hinging, wasn't it? It was all hinging on 2 games. But they've got the most important one in their pocket now. They've qualified for the Champions League. That's really important for the health of their club. And now they can go with a little bit of the weight off their shoulders and try to go and win a European trophy.
So, delight for Chelsea now to the heartache of the day surrounding Aston Villa, who with 10 men, Emi Martinez sent off, were beaten at Manchester United, but at 0-0 had a goal disallowed. And we'll show you the reason why in a moment. Bayindir hasn't got hold of the ball here, Shay. Morgan Rogers goes on to score it, but as you can see, the referee's whistle had gone, and therefore VAR could not intervene.
Yeah, it's a really shocker, to be honest, from the official. You know, we see all season, play on till maybe the ball goes in the back of net and VAR can have a look at it. VAR did look at it, to be honest, but the ref had blown the whistle beforehand, and they can't get involved then because, play is technically stopped. But as you say, Steve, at 0-0, that is a huge call for the referee to make, and we believe in the studio that it's the wrong call. We believe that Bayindir didn't have control of the ball. Rogers rightly toe pokes it off him, sticks it into the empty net, and it should be a goal.
So if Tom Bramall hadn't blown early, you think VAR would have allowed the goal?
100%. Absolutely. It's a bad decision. It's easy for us and everybody around the world to say what's he doing? Obviously, if he thinks it's a foul, natural reaction is to put the whistle to your mouth and blow. If he had just waited 1 or 2 more seconds, let the ball hit the back of the net and then blow, then of course he gives himself an out. He gives himself options. VAR can atone for his mistake at that point. But once he blows straight away, there's no going back.
Would that be scant consolation if you were the current Aston Villa manager right now?
No, it wouldn't be. Absolutely not. I've had the experience of this before, way back in the League Cup final, and this young man was playing in the game against us, and at Wembley, Aston Villa versus Manchester United. Referee should send Vidic off after 2 minutes of the game. He doesn't do in the match. Changes the course of the game, whatever you do. And so people will say, well, it's over a 38-game season. No, it was actually condensed down to a second half of a match. And the decision, I understand that the referee has blown quickly because he thought the ball had been kicked out of his arms. It was. But as Michael said, if you just waited that extra 2 seconds, which I think now you're almost, as referees, you should be kind of used to now. Just let it run, and then I can blow it then after that there. If he doesn't blow, it's a goal. It will count as a goal. And Aston Villa will take the lead in the game, and they only have to, as it turns out, draw the match. Draw the game against a dispirited Manchester United side with 20-odd minutes to go in the game, and Newcastle don't make it. And Aston Villa fall out of the Champions League because of that. Now, as I said to you, and you've said this to me before, Steve, it's a 38-game season. Yes, that something might have happened at Christmas time, and I get that. I don't remember what happened at Christmas anymore. This is the point. I remember what happened now. And I think that, and Emira he is apoplectic, as I would be.
He doesn't want to speak. The referee's admitted to him he made a mistake.
But it's not VAR.
No.
Like all those people around the world shouting, "Oh, VAR is supposed to clean this." That's nothing
They can't
to do.
get involved.
They can't get involved. In nothing to do with VAR. That's a simple referee's bad decision. So forget VAR. It's nothing to do with VAR. VAR would have cleaned it up if the referee had just held on for a second or two more. And the sad thing is, that was the decision. It was 0-0. It would have been 1-0 to Aston Villa. And that is how many million? 100 million mistake?
2 minutes later, Man United scored. 2 minutes
exactly.
later.
Listen, we can't predict what would have happened. But at 1-0, with Villa only needing a draw, it's changed everything. Villa really should be in the Champions League. And, as you say, Newcastle wouldn't be. And we can dress it up all we like, but the finances involved in one decision like that are absolutely huge. It's an honest mistake. It's not pretty, it's not good, but that's the reality.
What a roller coaster, because when their whistle went, Villa was still playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was nervy, Steve, watching off air. I was obviously wanted Newcastle.
It's an unusual feeling to lose a game of that magnitude and still get your prize.
Probably Eddie would be more emphatic if Eddie got the 3 points today. But going back to what Martin said, or you said at Christmas, it doesn't really matter what's happened today. It's what's happened over the 38 games previous to that. Getting that points total, getting the better goal difference. Yes, disappointed to lose today, but the bigger picture, and again, a financial benefit to the club I mentioned before the games today. Obviously adding to the squad, but also keeping the likes of Isak, keeping the likes of Guimaraes, keeping them players at the football club and bringing better, newer players in to strengthen the squad, because I think the owners really want to push Newcastle to the very top of the Premier League. And again, that's another stepping stone, qualification for Champions League. The last time, they're not this season, but last season, the squad wasn't deep enough, wasn't strong enough for the Champions League challenge. They will have learned from that. They have to go again now, have a big summer, strengthen, help Eddie for next season.
They were 12th. Go on, Martin.
Sorry, only for... tomorrow morning it'll all be forgotten, it's all over, and Newcastle have made it. But there'll be an immediate disappointment because they've not been able to do it in front of their own fans on the last day of the season against an Everton side with very little to play for. Sometimes those are the most difficult matches, but Newcastle looked as if they really were struggling to get a goal today in the bits and they were struggling so much that my pal here beside me, he stopped looking at that game and started to drift over to the Manchester United and Aston Villa game. But as I said, that in that particular instance, it is what you've done over the season, and tomorrow morning Newcastle will be absolutely agog.
Okay, so Newcastle into the Champions League and getting, of course, that trophy after a 70-year wait. And because of that, what a season that has been for Eddie Howe and for Newcastle. As I was going on to say, they were 12th in December.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing finish this season. They had a bit of a dip, as you say, probably around Christmas time, but they sort of regrouped. I think they had a really bad defeat at Brentford, and everyone was going, "What's Eddie Howe doing? Is it time for a change?" Which is madness, in my opinion, because I think he's the right man at the helm. And again, since that, they've gone on this crazy run and won the League Cup, and deservedly so. They beat Chelsea, they beat Arsenal in a semi-final, two-legged semi-final. Of course, beating Liverpool in the final. They didn't fluke the League Cup. They really deserved to win the League Cup. Were absolutely brilliant. And then on the back of that, we talk about Liverpool there before, about the success that breeds. The players want more of that. They want more Champions League nights. They want big nights at St James's Park. That's where they want to play. So I think Eddie's up for probably manager of the season. I really do.
Wow, Chelsea made it to the Champions League, beating Nottingham Forest 1-0 away from home at the City Ground. Wow. I mean, before this game, every pundit wrote them off, even their fans wrote them off. Nobody believed that they could go to Nottingham Forest and win, but give kudos to Enzo Maresca, their manager. The game plan was spot on. The game plan was amazing. No, he went there, didn't even press Nottingham Forest, defended deep, allowed them to keep the ball, made sure that they didn't have space behind them, defended the balls very, very well, superbly well. Colwill and Tosin were amazing in the balls, and also Reece James was also amazing on the side. I mean, perfect game plan, and Chelsea managed the game like men. Like, the game management from them today was out of this world. And that's what you expect from teams like Newcastle, who are a little bit more experienced to do against Everton, but they couldn't manage to do that, losing 1-0 to Everton. And then Aston Villa also, who are also more experienced than Chelsea, going to Manchester United, falling under pressure, getting Martinez got sent off in the first half, and then they went out to lose 2 to nothing to Manchester United. I mean, what perfect day for Chelsea. They didn't even finish top 5. They finished top 4, going to the Champions League next season with UEFA Conference League final to play on Wednesday. And if they win that, now we'll be looking at the season they have had, like amazing season, not just a good season. You call it amazing season because nobody expected them to win the league. The expectation was to make top 4 or top 5 and then win the Conference League, and they're almost there. So what can you say? By this time 3 months ago, a lot of fans, Chelsea fans, wrote them off, calling for Enzo Maresca to be sacked, calling for some players to be dumped, and stuff. A lot of stuff were going on. But these guys rallied around. Their last 6-7 games, I think they only lost to Newcastle in the Premier League, and they had the most difficult fixture to the end of the season. This is where inexperienced players crumble, but they didn't. They stood up, they fought. Even against Newcastle, they lost a goal very early in the game. They came back, lost a man in the first half, came back in the second half with 10 men and fought. Like, they could have won that game if they were a little bit lucky. So, I mean, these guys have grown up massively in the last couple of months. I know some people may not see it now, but I think this will reflect on their season next season. They are going to be a lot better next season. Their game management will go up leaps and bounds next season. Their approach to games will improve massively next season. They are going to have one hell of a season next season. And if they do their job very well in the transfer market, we could be looking at title contenders. Mark my words today. Mark it down. We could be looking at title contenders. The difference between Chelsea and some other sides is they are young. They have a lot of room to improve. The headroom to improve they have is much higher than any other team in the Premier League. If we are looking at the youngest team in the Premier League this season, if these guys come together and stay together for 4 or 5 years, we could be looking at an unstoppable force. So that's why I said from now, this game is just the start of a new Chelsea. They have become men. This game, shows that they now understand what it takes to manage high-pressured environment, high-pressured games, high-pressured, situation. That's what they needed. Everybody wrote them off because of inexperience, but they have shown experience in the last, during this running, and it was a difficult running, but they came out of it on top. What else can you say? So Chelsea fans, be happy because the future is absolutely bright for you guys.